Tonight on Fright Companion, you'll never close your eyes again. That was good, right? Was that funny?
It's weird and pissed off, whatever it is.
So yeah, we just shot this whole episode, and we're going to do it again.
Yeah. So we watched Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
We did.
Yeah. And it's a movie from 1978 that was a remake of a 56 film.
And that film did very well. It made a ton of money, considered successful, and the remake also successful.
Yeah. It was budgeted at $3.5 million, and it made, I think, over $24 million, which is really good. And that's gross U.S. revenue. That's not even worldwide.
And that's $1978.
Yeah. So
You'd
good
be
money.
a billionaire.
Yeah. You could say that. But
I just did. We're going to be a little punchy.
Yeah.
Second time through.
a little punched up.
We're doing it all for you.
Yeah, so it grossed a ton of money, and I think it mainly is credited to the actors and actresses that they got on the film, and they also had a pretty damn good director, who is Philip Kaufman. He also wrote, I think, the Indiana Jones movies. So,
Yeah, this movie is considered very widely as an iconic horror film. There's certainly scenes in this that are referenced all over the place in pop culture, which we'll talk about.
yeah.
I was happy to have seen it. I've never seen it before,
Yeah.
and it blew me away for most of it.
Yeah.
Some parts were slower.
This movie is it's an I told you so. The biggest I told you so out of all the
Yeah.
movies I've ever seen.
It's I Told You So, the movie.
Yeah.
This movie begins on a planet somewhere in the universe.
Yeah.
Could be anywhere.
Yeah.
It shows this life form. It looks like dishwasher suds or something.
Yeah.
Flowing off of its planet up into space. Whoa. What is this?
Yeah. Little cocks.
Some really good effects, especially for the day and age.
Yeah.
And it travels through time and space, eventually arriving at our planet and drifting down into San Francisco
Yeah.
and landing on a plant in a park.
Yeah. It just so happens to land in a heavily populated area, which is good.
This movie benefits from a second viewing more than a lot of horror movies.
Yeah.
Right from the first 5 minutes, you're picking up things that you didn't notice the first time through. The first of which is this teacher with the group of kids saying, "Oh, look, children, look at the flowers. Bring them home to your parents."
Yeah.
And she's giving weird looks around.
So you see a priest swinging on the playground swing set. It's way too big for the swing set, and it turns out to be Robert Duvall from Godfather. Kaufman actually paid him with an Eddie Bauer jacket. So after we see this scene from the priest, it pans over to one of our first protagonists, which is Elizabeth. She grabs a flower, finds it pretty interesting, and decides to take it home to her
Right.
boyfriend.
But he's very busy watching the basketball game.
Too much trouble to pick the mail up off the floor, Jeffrey?
The scene cuts to Donald Sutherland, who is playing the role of Matthew, and he's a health inspector.
Right.
He goes into a French restaurant, just performing his daily job.
It shows his insightfulness and
Yeah.
observation skills and how good he is at his job of, looking around, viewing things, kind of seeing things that are out of the ordinary, which is great because he doesn't use that for anything
Yeah,
else.
exactly.
The women have to tell him 50 times that
Yeah.
something's wrong before he even has the presence of mind to look around.
Yeah, just know you're bullshitting me. That's
Yeah.
not what's happening.
Ignore it.
It's a conspiracy. I know it.
There can't be a conspiracy.
Sutherland is this health inspector. He works in the same office as Elizabeth.
Right.
So on his way back to the office, he gives Elizabeth a call, lets her know, like, hey,
This guy's fucked with me. I
Yeah.
know you have a boyfriend, but I'm calling you at 9 o'clock at night.
And Elizabeth answers with what's probably the dopest phone I've ever seen. It's like a circuit breaker put into a wall. It has a rotary dial, but it's a retractable cord right into the wall.
A retractable braided cord.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Elizabeth ends up going to bed with her husband and has the flower with her.
She puts the flower in water and sets it on the nightstand next to Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Look at the film grain in this scene.
Yeah,
oh my god,
holy
it is
shit.
wild. It looks like the Starfield simulator screensaver from Windows.
Next scene is daylight. Something smashed on the ground. There's water everywhere.
Jeffrey's cleaning up the carpet. He's like sweeping up broken glass.
And he's fully suited and booted, like ready for the day.
Jeffrey? Jeffrey?
How can she traipse about the house only wearing an entire silk parachute balloon?
You get like kind of a conspicuous feeling when Elizabeth wakes up because she's kind of like just unsettled by Jeffrey's like actions.
Well, yeah, his mannerisms are totally different. He's very
Yeah.
cold, and he's just like, I'm going out.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going out, but first I'm going to take out the trash.
So Elizabeth watches Jeffrey walk out of the room and sees him go outside, and she watches him out the window, and he brings out a bag of trash and puts it into the back of this garbage truck that's parked there. And in the back of the garbage truck was what looked like cat hair.
Yeah, just oodles of it.
Just tons of cat hair. And at the time as we're watching it, I'm like, did they just fill the garbage truck with cat hair?
Yeah.
What fucking trash service is that?
Yeah, just dump your fucking loose trash in my bin.
And what kind of garbage is in there already?
Yeah.
It's like all just cat hair. Old cat hair pickup service.
Dander and cat hair, that's all we take. Elizabeth then lets Sutherland know that her boyfriend has been acting really weird.
Yeah. So Elizabeth talks to Matthew. She says, Jeffrey's been acting really weird.
Mm-hmm.
Saw him take the cat hair out, and we're not scheduled to have the cat hair taken out until next Tuesday.
It's not Cat Hair Wednesday.
It's not cat hair Wednesday yet.
Yeah.
He says, oh, you know, it could be stress or whatever, but you know how I know you're normal is that you can still do the weird thing with your eyes. And she does the weirdest eye movements ever. Like, you think that that's how she got into Hollywood or something. It's ridiculous.
I was like genuinely traumatized by that.
If you're not crazy, you can do the thing with your eyes.
What the
What
fuck?
What the fuck is that CG? So another thing that you notice, you notice it the first time through, but even more so the second time through this movie, which I recommend watching this movie twice. You notice people staring, people in the background acting very strangely, staring, and it's in the background, so you're not really paying attention because the characters have dialogue.
Yeah.
Definitely watch this twice and pay attention. There's all kinds of creepy things going on in the background that you might not have noticed the first time.
Yeah.
What I really enjoyed about Matthew and Elizabeth's meeting was that he was wearing the same sweater that he was wearing in Animal House.
Yeah.
But this time he was wearing pants. Matthew and Elizabeth take a ride in his car that has a smashed windshield through the streets of San Francisco.
Yeah.
Things are even more crazy this day than it was the day before.
You must have done something.
People are fucking running.
What's the big deal?
The policeman will help.
People are on the sides of the street. They're kind of running. People are running across the street. At one point, a man runs up and jumps onto the car and says, "They're coming, they're here."
Please, you're next, here they are! They're already here! Come, you're next!
And it's Kevin McCarthy, who's the star of the 1956 invasion of the Body Snatchers, playing pretty much the same role.
They're here already! You're next! You're next! You're next!
Pretty much saying the same lines
Yeah.
right here in this scene. It is a great, great callback. And he runs off and he's hit by a car and dies.
A UHF station!
Yeah, Matthew basically tells Elizabeth that because you're having these feelings about Jeffrey, maybe we should go see a psychiatrist, and that happens to be a friend of his named Dr. Kibner. And this is an exact moment where the man does the stupid thinking, and he's just like, there's something wrong with the woman.
Donald Sutherland hears Elizabeth, but doesn't listen to her.
Yeah,
he says,
that's true.
what you're saying is pure nonsense. We're going to go talk to Leonard Nimoy to snap you out of this nonsense. Elizabeth and Matthew go to Dr. Kibner's book signing because he's a famous psychiatrist.
Yep.
He puts out books all the time. He's a local celebrity. And at this book signing, they meet Jack, played by Jeff Goldblum. Jack is a very nervous, neurotic character.
Yeah.
Something we've never seen Jeff Goldblum do before. It's amazing to see him in this diverse of a role for him.
Exactly.
And he hates Dr. Kibner. He hates him.
Hates him. Yeah.
But he's at the book signing.
Yeah. It's like people who follow celebrities on Instagram just so they can just jab at them all the time.
Dr. Kibner is played by Leonard Nimoy, who I read took this role in an effort to break out of his typecasting as a stern scientific type. So he's going to be a stern psychologist type.
Yeah, exactly. But he had a cool leather glove, so his hand looked just a little different.
He did. It was an awesome leather glove.
Yeah.
At the book signing, Elizabeth witnesses this woman come up to Dr. Kibner and says, my husband is not my husband. This is the second instance of the man disregarding what the woman is saying completely. The woman, the wife, saying that her husband is acting strange, and Leonard Nimoy saying, that's completely wrong.
Yeah.
Go home with your husband.
Yeah. It sounds like every doctor visit I go to. I'm like, hey, doc, I'm shitting blood. Can you tell me something about this? And they're like, it's probably just a hemorrhoid. Just, sit on a donut for a a while.
Go home with your wife and give it a couple days.
Exactly. Take some vitamins, you bitch.
It worked. The next scene is the Turkish mud baths. This is where we're introduced to Jack's wife, Nancy, played by Veronica Cartwright.
Who's Cartwright?
Yeah.
Who's also in Alien, a little movie called Alien.
I'm sorry, Jack.
She has the phone upside down.
Was that a thing?
What the hell? At this point, the majority of movies we've watched for this show have had people answering the phone upside down. I'm starting to think that we're in the minority.
Yeah.
That's really efficient. I could answer my phone upside down.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get carpal tunnel like this. This is a very unnatural movement.
Yeah.
If you pick it up like this...
I could just burn my shoulders out while I'm calling somebody. And we also see Jeff Goldblum just, he's stressed about going to Nimoy's book signing. He's like, I can't believe he gets away with this shit.
Why did he go?
I don't know. Just to rile himself up. He takes off his clothes and he's like the most disgusting skeletal creature I've ever seen in my life.
He's a skeleton.
Yeah. So Goldblum takes the mud bath and then he hops into a bed and is trying to get some sleep. The aliens kind of take advantage while you're sleeping.
Right.
So we cut to Nancy, who's finished this disgusting massage, and she opens up one curtain and sees a form that looks like Jack. She pulls the sheet back because it's covering his head, and it's like a cocoon spiderweb type of deal.
A spider-webbed body.
Yeah. They explain all this to Matthew when he gets there.
Yep.
Matthew understands, he's concerned, but he also is like, shit, Elizabeth was just talking about this same problem. I gotta go check it out.
Yep.
So he goes back to her house. Jeffrey's freaking watching stupid radio signals or something with his headphones on. So he just breaks right into the house and he finds this pod forming of Elizabeth.
He sees the Elizabeth pod person body, but then he looks over and he sees the real Elizabeth sleeping on the bed.
Yeah.
So he grabs her and carries her out of the house.
Yeah.
Skillfully avoids Jeffrey by following him really closely.
Yeah,
Somehow.
Sutherland goes, basically, after he's found out that the city is kind of fucked up and there's more of this problem going around than he thought, he gathers his team around. So all the protagonists of the film, Jack, Nancy, Elizabeth, and him. And again, this is when the women are all saying, there's something wrong.
People are being duplicated.
And they spell it out plainly. there's an alien species that's taking our bodies,
Right.
dissolving them, and replicating us in a emotionless void. They hit it on the fucking head.
Where are they coming from?
Outer space?
They're not coming from outer space.
Why not, Jack?
They're not coming from outer space, Nancy.
Why?
Well, what are you talking about? A space flower?
And the men are like, that's interesting. What are we going to do? And they're
Yeah.
just like looking out the window. I think they're out there.
But we should just go to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's take a nap.
Let's all go take a nap. And then Sutherland goes one step further and he's like, I'm going to go sleep outside.
Sleep out in the backyard.
Yeah. Right next to the garden.
Nancy just told me that strange plants are what are taking over the human race.
Yeah.
I think the best place to take a nap is in the backyard in the garden.
Yeah, right in the garden.
And there's giant pods right
Yeah.
next to him, and tendrils start to come out of the pods and wrap around his arm, which is just... He's very irresponsibly sleeping in the backyard.
Exactly.
And it wraps around his hand, and it starts to birth a clone immediately.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder how these things operate, because there's other pods out there, and
Yeah.
they all start to birth
Mm-hmm.
pod people. But the one that is attached to Matthew seems to be going faster.
Yeah. I think it's like Ethernet versus Wi-Fi.
I hate you.
So the only person that was sane enough to stay awake was Nancy. Turns out that worked out because she was seeing these forms like building and was able to wake Matthew up just in time. And they end up waking the others up in the house. And they're like, we got to get the hell out of here.
Get out of here.
Everyone runs except for Matthew, who wants to go and try to like investigate as much as he can before he has to bail.
Yeah.
He goes out to his body and he just takes a garden hose, smashes his own face in half.
Yeah, smashes the
awesome.
head right in half. By the way, this movie's also rated PG.
Yep.
Parental guidance.
Goldblum decides like I'm gonna take one for the team and take off.
Yep.
And try to drag the Body Snatchers with him.
And what we noticed was that this is the same scene from Jurassic Park where he tries to lure the T-Rex away.
Yeah.
He runs off,
Yeah.
and it's a successful diversion.
Yeah.
This is just like Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Where
Come and get me.
He leads the T-Rex away.
Sutherland and Elizabeth, they escape to the one place that they know, which is the health department.
Mm-hmm.
They assume that because it's a government body, it might be a little bit more secure, and they can
Maybe they can run some tests and
figure
figure something out.
something out. Exactly. They're running some tests, trying to figure out more about the situation, and that's when Goldblum and Nimoy show back up.
Once Jeff Goldblum starts talking, you know that
Yeah.
he's on the side of the pod people.
Exactly, because he's not his affluent self. So they fight their way out of the grasp of Nimoy and Goldblum.
Yep.
Sutherland proceeds to choke out with a pretty, I'd say like a mediocre quality choke.
And then he puts a fucking dart in his neck.
Yeah, right away.
And kills Jeff Goldblum with a dart in his neck.
Yeah, maybe it was full of sedatives, just like Will Ferrell.
The darts were full of sedatives.
Maybe.
Yes!
Matthew and Elizabeth escape from the lab, and they start going down the stairs. And there they meet Nancy.
Yeah.
And Nancy tells them that you can survive if you don't show any emotion. You can just walk amongst them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Nancy is easily the smartest person in this whole movie. She figures everything out right away.
Yeah.
It's happening now.
She's very insightful.
Yeah.
And nobody listens to her.
Nope, not at all. And they decide to escape. The only thing is that the pod people are really good at trying to pull that emotion from you. So as they're trying to escape, there's a bunch of like titty bar owners out front with like chicks, and he's, hey Matthew, take a look at this. We got plenty of this inside.
Do you think that that's what that was? That was a trap to get emotion from people walking by? I never even thought about that.
Yeah, I thought that was a trap.
And if somebody shows like arousal to go into the strip club, they just bag them.
Yeah, something tells me that those strip clubs were just full of pods.
So the group continues on. I think they're trying to escape the city, and they're queued up in a line, and they're waiting.
Mm-hmm.
And out of nowhere, this dog runs up with a human face.
Yeah.
What?
The fuck?
What the fuck? And Elizabeth freaks out.
Yeah.
She screams. So it's all over. And Matthew grabs her to try to calm her down.
Yeah.
Nancy, Van Damme.
Yeah, perfect. knows what's up.
Nancy's completely calm and collected, and she's fine.
And she's like, I'm gonna get out of here.
But Matthew and Elizabeth turn to run, and Matthew dragon punches the old lady who is screaming at them.
Cold cocked her
He
right in the
straight
mouth.
up dragon punches her. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, and then from there, like, the cover is blown, so they got to get out of there.
They're running, and they jump off of a 1 foot like curb, and Elizabeth like breaks her ankle.
Yeah, totally fucked.
Conveniently.
Yeah, exactly. Matthew's like, all right, you're gonna hang out here in the dark and in the nice comfortable grass.
Here, yeah,
and you're not gonna fall asleep.
And he looks over and it's, oh, a boat.
Yeah.
A boat, we can escape. So he goes off towards the boat. When he gets close enough, he notices that the boat is loading up these pod people tamales up onto the top of the boat. And he's like, oh no.
When he goes back to Elizabeth, he finds that her body is like pretty much dissolved. So he goes to pick her up, and she dissolves into what we now know as cat hair.
And then she starts to like crumple, and it shows her face like crumpling in on itself.
Yeah. And he looks up, and there's naked Elizabeth standing there saying, like, I've converted. It's painless.
Yeah.
Just do it with me.
Just do it. Just go to sleep.
Matthew's just like, fuck you, bitch.
Yeah,
and just takes off.
He takes off and goes towards the boat.
Yeah. And there's like this greenhouse where they're growing these pods. And he's like, I'm going to destroy this once and for all. He goes crazy. He's up in like the scaffolding, climbing all around. There's lighting everywhere.
Matthew climbs up into the scaffolding of the greenhouse, which is on the boat, I guess, and looks at an axe and walks right by him. Like, what are you doing? He walks by the axe that's right there, and then he walks over to another axe that's hooked up to the fire alarm, and he takes that one, which alerts the whole facility. And he starts chopping these ropes that are holding up the lights, the grow lights over the greenhouse. And I don't know where they got these grow lights, but they are incredible. Yeah. Because when he chops them, the lights fall down and they explode into fireballs when they hit the ground.
Yeah.
I found the rope that hung up your decorative lights and tarps. Oh, the explosive lights. Matthew escapes from the greenhouse. He's being pursued by a bunch of pod people. They run past him. He's kind of like hiding out. And then it fades to black.
Yeah.
The next scene is him in his office.
Yeah. He's going about his daily business.
Going about his daily business. He's acting very calm, kind of looking around. And he stands up and walks out and joins them. Yeah. Acting very cool, no emotion.
And you have this assumption that, like, he's escaped, but he's just trying to live amongst the pod people.
Trying to live amongst them.
Yeah.
Imagine if he stubbed his toe. He's like, "Cox!" And they're like,
starts crying. They all get pissed off.
He walks out of the building, and he's walking down the sidewalk, and he hears Matthew, and he looks over, and it's Nancy.
Yeah, she's made it.
She's made it.
And she's making the only dumb decision she's made the whole movie, and calling out a friend that's walking devoid of emotion down a street.
Wow.
That was a fucking cool ending.
But Matthew looks at her, and he just does the pod person scream at her. And sorry, I mean, humanity stood no chance.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the ending you want from this movie, because it's like, if they can, you don't want every movie to save the fucking day. No. It's like, if there's an alien species that's taking over a populace like San Francisco that quickly, it's going to happen. Yeah. It's just like a disease. It's going to spread, you know? I mean, that's the end of the movie.
That's the end of the movie.
It was amazing.
I love this movie.
Yeah.
It's even better. I don't know if I've stressed this enough, but it's even better on the second viewing. You have to watch this movie twice.
Yeah.
The fact that it's still so prevalent in pop culture today just goes to show how iconic it is in the horror genre, and specifically a couple of scenes.
Yeah.
The dog with the human face and the pod people scream. It's used over and over and over and over and over. You can't go wrong by watching it. It is a must-see for your horror repertoire.
Yeah. So that's it.
That's it.
Yeah. Thank you for watching.
Thank you for
Yeah.
watching. I really appreciate it, and so does Dana.
Yeah.
So the first time we shot this review, we had a really great ending. You'll just have to trust us.
Yeah.
And we'll watch the old footage over, and you'll get a really great ending next time.
Yeah.
We'll owe you one.
Yeah. And we'll give you some shitty quality ending maybe.
Fuck. When is that cut out? At 12?
12.
Okay. We're almost out of time on the camera. The camera's oh fuck! I fucked up.
Yeah.
The camera's about to cut off, and
Bam. That's terrible. We didn't get it done. That's okay, whatever.